Hey guys, welcome to the Flat Top King. Hey, today we're going to dive deep and explore my number one asked question. What temperature are you cooking at on your flat top grill? Let's get started. All right, so here we go. We got the setup going. It's extremely cold. We're gonna use our infrared thermometer today. To give you an idea, okay, we're gonna try to break this video down into 7 simple steps because honestly, it's not a cut and dry answer. So the first thing we're gonna do, try to show this around. I'm not even preheating. It's 35 degrees outside. That's the temperature of my flat top grill, okay? All right, so before we get started, our flat top grill, like I said, is 34 degrees, just to give you an idea, okay? I've got a half a bag of potatoes. They've been frozen. They're cooling down a little bit. They were about 65 degrees. We're shooting about 55 degrees, as you guys can see that, okay? Inside this bag right here is the other half bag, and hopefully it should be a little bit cooler. Does it show that? Yeah, that was coming out of the refrigerator, so that's sitting at 30 degrees, okay? And then we have our frozen bag of potatoes. This has come straight out of the freezer. The reason why I mentioned this is because this is not a cut and dry answer. It's my number one asked question. And so to dive deep down into it, I want you guys to understand and have a visual through the whole process of where I'm coming from, okay? So first thing we're gonna do is turn on the flat top. And all I'm doing is turn it to low. The very first thing I wanna say is your flat top grill will fluctuate temperature. Okay, that's one of those gray areas. What temperature are you cooking at? I can give you a starting number, but I can't really give you a number all the way through the cook. There's so many variables, okay? So let's go through the first one. The temperature of the food you're putting on your flat top grill, okay? We just went over our 3 ideas. The only reason why I did hash browns because it's commonly used and I feel like we can get a good gauge of volume and temperature, okay? If you take frozen hash browns and put them on a 350 degree flat top grill, that's going to drastically change the temperature. If you just take a handful and put it right here, the rest of your flat top can continue building heat and it's not going to adjust it a lot. You see what I'm saying? If you cover this whole thing with frozen hash browns, if you cover the whole thing with scrambled eggs, you're going to notice right away that the energy, the heat from your flat top grill is going to lower drastically, okay? That's all a part of the fluctuation of your flat top grill temperatures. That's why it's not set in stone. I can give you a starting point, but it's not the same all the way through, okay? Instead, I've been trying to teach you guys how to visually see the temperatures in your flat top grill besides just relying on a gun, okay? Because it does fluctuate so much. We've talked about butter. Adding butter to your flat top, to me, is probably the best case scenario if you don't have a thermometer. How your butter reacts will determine whether or not your flat top is too hot or not hot enough. We've talked about using the same oil repeatedly. I'm an avocado fan for oil. And what happens is you learn the smoke point of that oil. So if your flat top grill has not started smoking yet, you know you haven't reached the smoke temp here or there of that oil. That's a really good tip. Our smoke point is supposed to be 500. We're shooting around 480, 475, 468, 487, okay? So it just gives you an idea. All right, number 2. I personally preheat my grill on low. I know what you're saying. Well, it's 32 degrees outside. It's going to take forever. Camp Chef specifically says in their box on the website, on their Facebook pages, on their TikTok pages, and on their Instagram pages, do not preheat on high. You have a chance of warping. That's just what they say, so I'm just trying to relay the message. Since it is so cold outside, it might take a little bit longer for your flat top grill to come up in temperature. And I'm going to tell you the biggest myth that I've found in cooking and the questions I receive is, does your flat top grill get hot on low? Okay, we're going to hit that a little bit later because I've got a really good demonstration for you guys. All right, number 3. The third thing that I feel like you guys need to know is basically your flat top grill is just like a big skillet, okay? I'm meaning this to be respectful, not disrespectful, okay? How many times before you've received your flat top grill have you even purchased an infrared thermometer? Answer that question. You can comment below. And number two, how many times, honestly, have you had this and you preheated a skillet inside your house, whether it be nonstick, cast iron, or stainless steel, and have known the temperature of what you're cooking every single time, okay? The perfect illustration I could give you is the common person would take probably a nonstick skillet for eggs. They would preheat the skillet on their favorite number on their favorite eye. Everybody's got that front right eye, right? But you got a favorite number depending on your dial on your stove. And what you would do, you would act accordingly based on the way the food reacts. If you put butter in there and it turns brown quickly, you know your skillet's too hot. So what would you do? You would turn down the temperature, or you're gonna take the skillet off the stove to cool down. And you probably wouldn't add your eggs right away. You'd probably start over with fresh butter. Obviously the opposite. If you put your skillet down and you preheat it and you put your butter in there and it's still solid and it's not melting, you know as a home cook, with even just the basic knowledge, that it's not warm enough yet. But that's a judgment call based on what you guys are seeing out of your skillets. There's no difference between this flat top grill. All right, so now that I've mentioned that the flat top grill is basically a big skillet, let me tell you what your flat top grill is not, okay? It's not an oven. What do you mean by that? No crap, Sherlock. Because the idea that you start off at 350 and you stay at 350, I think has become the idea for some people. When you put something in the oven and bake it at 350, your oven has a automatic on and off switch based on the thermometer inside, the thermostat, okay? If it drops below X amount of temperature, it's going to kick on. When it goes above 350 for X amount of temperature, it's going to kick off. Your oven fluctuates, but it tries to stay at that 350 mark. The flat top grills don't like this. Look, it's on or off. And I know you can adjust the flame, but that's not how it's built. Which reiterates, what you put on it drastically controls the temperature based on the amount of food you cook, what food you're cooking, and specifically what ingredients are in that food, okay? All right, guys, number 4. Even on low, your flat top grill can get hot. The whole time we've been talking, I've been preheating on low. Just to give you an idea, we're shooting about, I haven't adjusted the dial. We're at 430, okay? Bringing it across, you guys can see the temperature drastically changes. 485, 380, up in the 400s, right? That's why I tell you that temperature fluctuates so much and it's not a cut and dry system. So now what we're gonna do is start illustrating some of the points that we're gonna go over in the video, okay? All right, now that we talked about number 4, we're gonna throw these hash browns on the flat top grill to get you guys a real live visualization of basically what I'm trying to say, okay? Sometimes it's easier to see it than it is for me to speak it, I can tell you that. All right, avocado oil. Pretty liberally because we're dealing with hash browns. All right. We're gonna cut the flat top in thirds, okay? I wanna leave one section without food on it. I wanna show you guys the difference in the temperature, okay? My flat top's on low, okay? These should be the hottest potato you could find. This is about 60-degree potato, okay? This is refrigerated potatoes. These are shooting about 32 to 34 degrees, okay? I'm gonna try to keep this spot open to show you guys the temperature of this flat top right here. Okay. This side right here is gonna be the frozen side, okay? All right, so let's just recap really quick. These are refrigerated potatoes, but I brung the refrigerated potatoes out of the refrigerator and let them come at the room temp, okay? This is the same as this, but this is just refrigerated potatoes. This has been thawed out and refrigerated potatoes, and of course, these are frozen potatoes, okay? What we're going to start doing is shooting temperatures, and I'm going to try to show you guys how I feel about why temperature doesn't matter, or why it's not basically cut and dry. We shot the temperatures coming over like this, correct? So we had a wide range. We had about 420 to about 380, okay? A good bit of difference, okay? So watch what happens now. Let's see if we can get let's see, okay? We're about 430 right in the middle, correct? You see that? Mm-hmm. So now what we're gonna do is just take the refrigerated hash browns and immediately shoot right here. See that? That's 355, right? That's 100-degree difference almost. And that's very, very, very common, okay? These are the hash browns that we put on there that were about 55 degrees, 60 degrees. Let's shoot the temperature, which makes sense. It's about 50 degrees hotter there than it was there, because this product was what? 30 degrees, 40 degrees colder than this one. It'd be interesting to see the frozen side. All right. Not bad. So this has dropped 80 degrees. Remember, it was about 430 on the right side. We put frozen hash browns on it, and you can imagine that it drops the temperature. Number 4, I want to reiterate. The temperature really matters based on the amount of product you put on the grill, the actual item you put on the grill, and then specifically the ingredients that go with that item. That's a lot of information. Let's skim really quick. We're talking about volume. We're talking about like chicken hibachi, fried rice. We're talking about maybe a whole skillet because you got a lot of people coming over of hash brown potatoes. That's a lot of volume. Plus it's dense, right? So that matters about what ingredient it is, okay? If you take broccoli, for example, that just comes out of the refrigerator, you've got to send out for a couple minutes, you could put a whole lot of broccoli on your flat top grill and it's not going to adjust the temperature of flat top grill that much because the broccoli has a lot of air going through the florets. It's not a lot of contact. Anytime you have a lot of contact on your grill, that's what zaps the temperature, okay? And there's no reason why you can't adjust your temperature knobs from low to medium. I really try to stay away from high, right? I'm gonna bring these up to medium because I just don't want to go to that level of the warpization and all that stuff. I don't really play around with that, okay? We can get any temperature we want based off the temperature of medium and low. Let's see if we built any temperature up. See, we've even dropped temperature. See that? It gets colder and colder because that was the frozen section. And that's what I'm trying to reiterating through this whole process. So we talked about the amount of volume you put on there. Number 2, the actual ingredients. Or I mean the ingredients that go in it. I've specifically talked about, let's say hibachi is a common one. Even smashburgers, okay? If you're doing hibachi and you put your chicken on the flat top grill, I personally just like to take my chicken already cut up and put on there and have space so that space can have a chance to brown the chicken. When it does that, I think it helps absorb flavor. The point is, that doesn't really take a lot of energy from it. But then all of a sudden you start making your sauce and you're pouring liquids on it and stuff like that. Here's a visualization. You're making your sauce on this side, okay? You're gonna leave this side of your grill empty. You get me? All of a sudden you start making your hibachi here. Once you start adding your sauce, you're gonna notice that your sauce is immediately gonna start like bubbling up, but then you're gonna start noticing it calms down. Why is that? Your temperature flat top is lowering. Then, once you gather all your ingredients up, this side of your flat top grill has begun to build heat, right? Because nothing's been on it. Then all of a sudden you take your chicken, you move it over, and all of a sudden it erupts violently with bubbles and stuff because it's boiling. That's because this side of the flat top temperature has not been adjusted. So when you guys say what temperature you're cooking at, and I say, well, today we're shooting at about 400, that might be the only time the flat top grill hits 400. I've always said, if you have a chance to go on the bigger flat top, now the 6 burner might be a little bit different, but especially if you're trying to like a 28 or 22 inch versus a 36 inch is what we have the 4 knobs, I would always recommend the 36 inch. And why? Because that reason right there. You're able to move food over, okay? Which allows this stuff to start preheating now. Now we're getting up there close to 400, but it takes a minute. Remember, this side's on medium right in the middle. Remember how we adjusted that? All right, number 5. The outside temp, okay? The outside temp is drastically going to alter your cooking time and your temperatures. Your flat top grill will get extremely hot on low. In the summer, I mean, in the winter, it might take a little bit longer. But here's another visual idea, okay? If I come out here right now, it's 34 degrees and my wife's hands are shivering, it's gonna take this longer to preheat. When I come out here and it's 110 degrees, that's a 60 to 70 degree difference just on the flat top grill. It doesn't take as much energy to keep it as hot. All right, number 6. When we're talking about food and how much food we put on it, some of these items, give you a perfect example. Smash burger, okay? We know that a smash burger is all about the crust, okay? So you put your burger on there, you smash it down. If you fill this whole griddle up with smash burgers, wherever that smash burger is, I can promise you 100% that little surface area right there is going to be less hot than an open space next to it because it hasn't depleted the temperature, okay? So it's good to know that when you're doing certain items, a good pork chop, a good steak, a good burger, you want to leave enough space to where when you flip it over, the other side of the whatever you're cooking has a good chance to hit that hot temperature, okay? If you flip it over in the same exact spot, you're just going to have like grayish meat. Your flat top has not had enough time or energy or heat to come back up to temperature just before you flip it. All right, last and not least, we're talking about 7, number 7. Griddle temperature really doesn't really matter. There are specifics in things that you want to cook at a certain temperature. Obviously, you want that smash burger to be ripping hot, but you wouldn't want the same temperature as an egg. To put it in another words, let's think about bacon. Let's say I'm doing a breakfast on the flat top grill. If you run your ingredients in order, the first thing you would cook is bacon, obviously, right? Your flat top grill and your bacon doesn't care if it's 325 or 375. It might take a little bit longer. But if you put bacon on a cold griddle and turn it on, it's not going to matter. If you put bacon down at 400, it's not going to matter. So not every food is dependent on a certain temperature, and that's very important to know. All right, guys, so that's basically it. Just in conclusion, since it was my number one asked question, I really wanted to reach back out to the community to let them know, the goods, the bads, and the uglies about flat top grill temperatures. It's just all over the board, and it's not cut and dry. If you absolutely must have an infrared thermometer, we've got one in the link listed in the description below. Ironically enough, if you look at one of the videos, it's probably one of my most popular videos, the 7 flat top grill must-haves. I actually never even mentioned this. It could have been an honorable mention, and honestly, it probably should have been in there. But I'm just talking about beginning basics. It was never mentioned because I didn't think it was 100% necessary. To be honest with you, my first 9 months-ish when I had the flat top grill, didn't even have a thermometer. Didn't even know they existed. I used this one more often. If it was not for me filming and trying to make sure you guys see the flat top grill temperatures, very few times do I actually use this. More often I use this.
Which that is
the actual temperature of the food. Exactly, because the potato's already cooked. You're just trying to find that consistency that you like with the temperature that you like. This is more like the internal temperature of steak, pork chops, you name it. So I use this a lot more, way more than I do this. Hey, thanks for watching. Comment below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Don't forget to press that subscribe button, pound the notification button, share it with your friends. Peace.